Hello, everyone. Welcome to Abnormal Investigations. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. We've got one crazy breakdown for y'all here in just a little bit. I will say that it is a very different breakdown than what we're used to doing. Looks like I am froze up at the moment. It's not going to be a sign of what's going to happen tonight, but we do have some severe weather here, so hopefully we will be able to get through this. Hopefully, fingers crossed. All right. Uh, let's see here. Randy's not going to be able to make it tonight. Again, he's in southern Oklahoma where the bad storms are at, and he does not have internet at this time. So we all pray for Randy and hope that Randy is gets everything figured out. I know that has to be tough for him. Thank you, Tim, for that super chat. God bless you. I'm going to go ahead and bring Jess on in case I have trouble with the internet. It appears that I'm having a little bit of trouble, so we'll see what the lag is like tonight and see what we need to do.
Hello. How are you? Other than the lag.
Seems like I'm having some lag issues.
Mm-hmm. Well, what else is new? How is everybody in chat?
And you're breaking up on my end, so I don't know if it's me or what's going on.
I'm gonna say it's you. Can
That's
everybody
what
else
I'm
hear me
guessing too.
clearly? Mm-hmm.
Get this pulled up here and see if this will make any difference.
Michelle. Yeah, I guess.
It's
Hello,
so frustrating whenever it does this.
Hello, Jan.
Well, everybody says they can. Everybody says they can hear us, so I don't know how much of a lag we have between each of us. So I'm not sure.
We'll make it work.
All right, guys, we have a a crazy, and I say crazy breakdown tonight that I took today. Yeah, whenever I took this one today, I was like, wow, this is definitely going to definitely freak some people out in the audience. I have no doubt.
I don't know. Like freak everybody out worse than last night, or
this is a crazy one. This one is out there. It's real out there. It is. Everybody, we want to continue prayers for Connie and Latricia for complete healing. Keep them in your thoughts and prayers.
Yes.
If you're hit by any of this weather tonight, don't forget about Larry Fisher's roofing. Larry Fisher and Sons. I couldn't get his card to come up because for some reason it wouldn't load. It could be the weather. I don't know what. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to take his card and we are going to move it over and we will place it on the Facebook page and then try to put it in the posts underneath the YouTube. That way, if you need to find it, you should be able to access it. There's a lot of bad weather right now, Texas, Oklahoma, surrounding states. So there may be some people that need to contact Larry very, very, very soon. Hopefully not, but we had to do it, what, a couple of years ago, Mom? We lost the whole roof. So we know how fast it can happen.
Well, he can help with all of the insurance needs and getting that process through, and very reasonable prices if you don't have insurance. So,
Yeah, he definitely can. Uh, I offered anybody in the chat if anybody wanted to set in tonight. We have an opening now that Randy's gone. So if anybody was interested, would like to set in on a breakdown. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to, but you're welcome to set in if anyone would like to. I think AI Mod said she wanted to. I was looking for her. I don't see her right now. But yeah, I was just going to put it out there if anyone wanted to.
she's hiding from you now.
Don't be shy now.
Huh?
She's like, huh? Would you like to come on the show tonight, AI Mod? Would you like to sit in on a show? You don't have to show your face, but everybody, I'm sure, would love to see your beautiful face and eyes if you'd like to do that.
Starting with the brown nosing again.
Hey, I got to keep my spot in these chats. She's harsh. She has no mercy. When she comes after you, it is a lifetime that she will put on you. For sure. Wouldn't that be funny if she took up the proposal and came on, though? I don't think she'll do it, but that would be funny.
She says, nope, but thanks.
Yeah, Randy's internet's out. I'm going to do a quick roll call to everybody that I see in here. We got AI Mod in here moderating. We got Silver Bullet moderating. We got Lisa Ann in here moderating. We got Belinda moderating. We got Michelle McGuire. Hello, Amy. Good to see you in the chat tonight. See a lot of familiar faces in there as they roll up on the roller. I got it slowed down tonight. Hopefully that will help everybody out tonight with doing what you need to do. Hello, Keith Blunt. Always good to see you, buddy. Keith is a big time supporter of the channel, and you can always count on him usually being the first person in a video. So thank you for that, Keith. We appreciate your support. Hello, Jason B. Hello, Edith. What, Mom? I think Mom wants to come on.
Oh, yeah.
She said nope.
Aww.
But hello, Amy. Hello. I think I said Michelle. We got Sharon Guy moderating tonight. Sharon, I don't know how you do it. I don't know where you get the energy from because I about fell asleep at my computer a while ago, but that's probably because I'd only had about an hour and a half sleep. I found out that I had got woken up at 9:30 this morning after going to sleep at about 8. So, yeah. Probably going to sleep good tonight. I'll be good and rested up for the boots on the ground tomorrow. We're going to talk about that in just a second. That's one of the things we're definitely going to talk about. So we had a lot of questions about the boots on the ground that I got today. And man, I tell you what, I couldn't answer them all because people were asking. Of course, you know, they don't mean to, but you get a million questions over the same thing. And I was like, I can't do this over and over and over. So for anybody in the chat right now that has any questions about the boots on the ground last night, if you will put it in capital letters, I will try to see it. And if I miss it, hopefully a moderator will catch it. And Amber, will the channel good story for? I'd like to come to give it. Amber, sure. Give me a email. Email me at abnormalinvestigations77@gmail.com. And I'd love to speak with you, or you can find me on my messenger, usually Stephen Michael, I believe is what it's under. But either one of those, just get a hold of me. I'll type the email out here. That way you'll have it. Sometimes people, I think a lot of people send it singular. That's Jesse's fault.
Yep. Hello, Andrew. Good to see you.
Let's see. Make sure I got this right so I don't mess her up myself. And Amber, that should get you in touch with me. You should be able to get a hold of me that way. And anybody else that has an encounter that they would like to share or anything, feel free to contact me. I'd love to hear your encounter, and maybe we can tell it or get you on the show and you can tell it as a guest. Either way, it doesn't bother me. I don't need your stories and have to blow them up to make them any scarier than what they are to have entertainment. We're just looking for the truth. So if you want to come on and tell your encounter, we'd love to have you. There's Andrews Gnomes Trucking's here tonight. Good to see you. Oop, see, I'm behind right now. I tried to throw you up, and maybe it did. There it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this is going to be a battle tonight, folks. It's going to be the battle of the computers, I guarantee you.
I think
Let me
it's
try
under
something real.
air.
Let me see something real.
And then he just leaves me. Yes, Pink Pixie. Yeah, you got the message. Okay. Yeah. Hello. Sorry. I wasn't expecting that. And so I got a. Never mind. You're back.
See, you're actually freezing on my end to where I'm not tonight. Usually it's the other way around. I'm freezing on my end and you're not. So I'm blaming you now. I'm blaming
Okay.
you. Pink Pixie says crickets. We're sorry for the paint drying moment, Pink Pixie. We apologize for that. Mom's laughing.
Yeah.
But no, guys, if you have any questions about last night's boots on the ground, I'd be glad to answer any of them to the best of my ability that I can. I know a lot of people had questions, so I would love to answer any questions you have about last night. What I am going to say about last night, though, while you all are thinking of your questions or typing your questions out, last night from the get go, man, it was eerie. It was eerie from the arrival. Whenever, just to kind of explain to you guys the drive down there. The drive down there was through water and mud. And then I had to drive through water almost to the top of my tires to get to the spot that we was actually at, which was flooded on both sides of the road. All the area in there that we were looking at last night is floodplain, and it was actually rising as we was there. So a huge lake flooding through the timber, and we're walking through it looking for it. So did you check your timestamps? Belinda says. Belinda, I have not checked all the timestamps, just to be honest with you. I haven't. Michelle says it was beyond eerie. Hello, Dawn Donaldson. Good to see you. Glad to have you here. Um, it's been over since 4:30 today, Christy. Going to try and get it. Okay, I thought he was talking about something else. I get confused. And there is Miss Dana Ortega in the house.
Hello, Dana. Good to see ya.
Always good to see you, Dana. And tell Larry that I shouted him out tonight at the beginning of the show, if you would, please. I let him know today that I was going to, but just wanted to let him know. Larry's just another big supporter along with all of our others. Belinda,
Hello,
I'm a
Don. Good to
shocker.
see you.
That is right. I am a shocker. and a little cheeky sometimes too. Um, but yeah, if anybody has any questions before we move on to the breakdown and everything, that's it. She's calling Larry. See right there. That take lessons right there, Jesse. That's how you do it. She's on the phone. She heard the name and she's calling him.
Mm-hmm.
I would bet 9 out of 10 Larry's here tonight. What's everybody want to bet? Does Larry show up tonight or does Larry not show up? I'm saying Larry shows up.
I think Larry will show up if Dana's calling him. I can already hear that conversation. Larry, you need to get over there on that channel now.
Yeah, Romans. Last night was very, very, very weird. Today, I don't know if a lot of you watched my outdoor channel, Wide Open Adventures. I've been doing some filming today. It's absolutely rained all day. It's rained cats and dudes. I mean, bad. It was like, uh, blimey. It was bad. And I mean, the ditchers are running over. I'm telling you, doggies, it was bad. It rained all day long. Do what? We have a big trash can outside, like it goes in the kitchen, and it filled it and it's running over. If that gives you any idea how much rain we've got,
There's a
it
lot
has
of
been
rain.
crazy. That's a lot of rain. You're right. Very good. That's a lot of water. And uh, tomorrow night, we're going to be going boots on the ground in the even more flooded area, which is going to be even more dangerous. There has been flash floods in the area. People have lost their lives. So prayers to all those families today that have lost their lives in this. Like I said, if you don't know your way around down here, and even if you do, it doesn't matter because sometimes the water rises so fast because you have so many different creeks and stuff feeding into this lake. You can't control how fast this stuff rises. So even tomorrow night, it's going to be, that's right, Pink Pixie, blimey, British cornbread. But looky there. There's Larry. Good to see you, Larry.
Hello, Larry.
We just shouted you out a little bit ago. Polo is doing great. He is out there in his warm little building that he has with his little heat lamps and his hay and water and sweet feed. So he's happy. He's very happy. If he's got food and water, well, he'd probably like some company if anybody'd like to come stay out there with him because he loves people. But yeah, tomorrow night should be a pretty interesting night. I'm not sure where we're going to go because number one, I'm not going to go back to the same place that we went last night just for safety reasons because people know where I go. Also, it's probably today inaccessible. You probably can't even get there. It's the bridge is probably underwater if I was to guess right now.
Wow.
So the whole road and everything. When you say, Mom, it's probably all underwater right now. Yeah, it's all underwater. So you wouldn't even be able to get there today. So everything last night that we was seeing, that's kind of what I was trying to tell everybody. It was all being pushed out of the bottoms. The flood water was pushing everything out. So I mean, it was pushing it right to me because some of the places that we're going to be going right now is going to be some of the dry places that are left, the dry places, and that's where we're going to be going. So tomorrow night we will have to go. Starfire, I am ready for your question. Anybody that has a question, I'll do my
Michelle
best to answer.
Michelle said you should just use your boat to get down there.
I would, but I couldn't get out and do really any investigations, and I really don't want to be in a boat out there in the middle of the night. Ooh, Larry, you be careful doing that. That's not no fun. Larry's been changing a truck engine.
Oh, talking with
Tell me,
Melba.
yeah, and
Tell Melba
tell
hi.
Melva hi. Yeah, tell her hi, and we hope she's doing all right too. I think you all
Actually,
are probably getting some rain.
probably keep her in your prayers too. She's been going through a lot of hard times right now.
We need to add her over to the prayer group. We need
Mm-hmm.
to get everybody over to the prayer group that needs prayers. I'll write her name down so that way we can maybe add them to the group later.
Good idea, Secretary.
Do what, Mom?
Hmm?
I can't. Hold on. I can't hear. I got my earmuffs on. Uh, Did the creature leave marks on your car, and what do you think it was? There was no marks on the vehicle. Um, as far as to what it is, you guys were looking through a video camera on my phone, which was doing the live, which was looking into a IR camera. So you had actually a camera watching a camera, and then both of those trying to focus. You had one trying to focus on the actual photo it was taken, and then you had the other one trying to focus on the one that was focusing. So, um, the original last night we did pull the original, and whenever we pulled the original video last night, I sent it to Jesse to look at also, and I believe we may have found the reasoning and what was going on. And if you watched, I'll tell you, if y'all want to actually see that part of the video, it ain't done yet. It'll be done soon. It'll be dropped for the YouTube members and the Patreon members. They're going to be able to get access to that video probably tonight, but no later than tomorrow. It'll be in the Patreon. So if anybody is interested in being able to see it or anything like that, I have the link to Patreon right here. Um, this is where you would be able to see the actual video. Now, if you want to watch it and see what we saw last night on the live, you can rewatch the live, and you will still be able to see the what we saw last night through the camera, but not near as clear as what we're going to be releasing. It appeared that whatever was in front of the vehicle was communicating or trying to communicate with something across the road by the tree. Whenever I went to the vehicle last night, the ones of you that was in there that was watching, you all remember me saying, I see something by the tree. And I remember I started watching that tree because I knew I saw something by that tree. And I remember I told everybody, I said, it moved out and, it went this way, it went that way. Well, I was actually mistaken. There was two. The one that was by the vehicle was probably still by the vehicle somewhere in that area behind a tree.
Mhm.
And there was a juvenile, it appears to be in the video now, up by the tree. And you can watch the juvenile come out a few times as the one stands up. So it was like the larger one was trying to get the juvenile to come to it, but not to come to it because it knew it wasn't safe because of the defense mode that I was in at the time. They knew that they were not safe. So I think we kind of had them pinned by the water, and I think it may have possibly had been possibly, I don't know for sure, but possibly may have been a female Sasquatch separated from her juvenile or a baby and
Mhm.
was trying to maybe get back with that one. And that's what it appears to be in the video. We're going to do the breakdown of the video again. Like I said, anybody that wants to see that, you'll be able to find it in the Patreon or become a YouTube member and you'll have access to that video as it'll be dropped in both of those videos. So, and Lady Raven Moon says, add my dad to the prayer group. He hasn't been well. If you would like to give us his name, we can add it, or we
Tony.
can just pray for your dad.
She's
Tony, is that what she said?
Tony. Tony. Hmm.
Okay.
And Dana, yes, Connie is almost permanently right now on the prayer list. So every
And
time, every
also,
day.
yeah, anybody can join too the prayer group. Lady Raven, you
Hmm.
can join it. Any of y'all can join it. It's open to everybody.
Hmm. Should I put the link?
I don't have the link
I
accessible to
said,
me right now.
I said, should I put the link?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, if you have it. You're breaking up really bad when it comes across to me. Am I breaking up to you?
No.
Is it
Mm-mm.
breaking up to you, Mom, when she talks? Must just
Yes?
be.
No?
I think we're all right.
Okay.
There's just a little bit. Just a little bit. We're good. We're good. Sometimes I can hear you real good, and sometimes it's in and out.
I think it's just you.
It may be. Dawn, you can ask for prayers for anyone. They don't have to be a member of the cryptid community or any of that. It can be for anybody. Anybody that needs prayers.
And There we go. There is the Facebook link for the prayer group.
Yeah, and anyone is welcome to join it. That is a drama-free zone. It is where we come together as Christians and try to help one another through prayer. That's what that's for. It's a fight against evil spiritually. That's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what it is. So,
Yep.
because we're definitely in a spiritual war, that's for sure. Um, Anybody have any more questions about last night or tomorrow night to come? Donnie, okay. Let me get that name right here and we'll put it in there too. All right.
I think we are needing prayers. Christy, hi. Christy needs prayers.
All right. I'll put her down and I'll put Harold and their family. Man. Is everything okay, CRJ, or can you say, or is something you want to talk about? I hate that.
Yeah, Dana, you did miss last night. You missed a really good boots on the ground. You need to go back and watch it, girl.
Michelle, that would be a affirmative. Yeah, I had a little bit of things go on at the house last night after I got home.
Mm.
All right. Oh, it's okay, Don. No problem at all. You can always go check it out later. It's pretty cool. There was some really cool stuff. We got some good calls, some good vocals. We did get something on video, so it was a pretty good night. Yeah, my vehicle's always locked. My vehicle has an aftermarket security system on it. I hate that security system, to be honest with you. Mom's heard me get so mad at it so many times because you can step out of my vehicle, no lie. You step out of my vehicle and the door shuts, it locks and secures itself. And my vehicle has one of the security systems on it that whenever it goes off, you can't shift it, you can't start it, you can't do nothing with it. It just flashes and honks until the battery goes dead, unless you have the. It's a little key, and it's got a microchip in it, and you have to stick it underneath the dash into a slot, and then you have to reactivate it and deactivate it like that. It's got motion sensors on it and everything. So yeah, the car completely shuts down, and
So,
it's very loud.
okay.
Other one's amazing communication.
Oh,
Yeah.
Christy said she just meant that we all need prayers, not in particular.
Oh. Yeah, I mean the security system is probably nice. I mean, whoever had the car before me, they put the, I guess, money into it, because whenever you set the security system, you set it with your key to your vehicle, and there's a certain way to do it with your key that sets it whenever you get out of the vehicle. And then if the security system is tripped, then it takes a whole different special key that goes underneath the dash to actually undo what has been set off, or you're not going nowhere. So, and I also keep a IR 360 camera on the dash of my vehicle running the whole time I'm gone, just in case somebody tries to come up and mess with my vehicle.
Yeah, too bad it didn't get.
Yep, Ellen, I do.
Hmm.
All right. What was you going to say?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing.
All right. I think we got a pretty good delay. All right, guys, let's jump into this encounter. What do you say? Let's get at it.
Let's go.
Hold on 1 second. Mom's hollering at me. She's going to email me. No, I sent her my email. All right, guys. The one we got tonight is going to be a pretty pretty interesting one. I think everybody's going to enjoy it. Linda, we are going for it. We're going for it. We're fourth down and goal, and we're going to go for it. Yeah, Ellen, I may do a back camera eventually. That might be something we get into. Infinite Seven, you're 100% right. The whole world needs prayers.
Mm.
All right, guys, I took this encounter today from a man and a woman. The man's name is David, and his wife's name is Shirley. So they live in Maine, which is a state that I would like to visit. It's on my bucket list. Um, the following events are not going to be for the squeamish, probably. And if you have, like, if you get really scared or something like that, you're probably not going to like this encounter. It is a very weird one. So here we go. David said we had just moved into this home and we love the area. He says, I like to crab fish. He's not a professional crab fisherman, but he does like to go out and set pods and catch crabs and have a dinner with his wife. He said, usually catch enough, for dinner and maybe a few extra. He said, we were close enough that I could do that. Our home was kind of in a country setting. We did have one neighbor that was beside us. And the real estate agent told us that the neighbor was an older gentleman that hardly ever came outside, so you really wouldn't see him. And our houses, they were separated by a big tall fence, he said, that was covered in like limbs and trees and bushes. He said you could tell it had never been pruned back, so you really couldn't even see the neighbor's house. He said it was just like covered by this fence that was covered in vines and all, but it did have a gate on the fence, was accessible from their house to the neighbors.
Okay.
So his wife Shirley says she loves to bake. She said, I love to bake. And I went out and I bought some fresh apples. I thought, us being his neighbor, we really needed to get to know him. She said we needed to at least introduce ourselves. And he was an older gentleman. He may be lonely. And David said Shirley's always trying to help people. She is always trying to, get along with people, help somebody out or something like that. So she said she went and she bought some fresh apples and everything to make this, this older gentleman an apple pie. You're very welcome for that, Larry. My pleasure. And she said whenever she got the apples and everything, it was too late to do it that night. So she said, I got the pie baked the next day, and David was there, and I asked David if he was ready to go meet our neighbor. And David said, I guess, do you think we really should bother him, or should we just be the kind of neighbors that don't bother each other? And Shirley said, no, no, no. If he's an older man, I want him to know that if he needs any help or anything, that we're just right across the yard. I want him to not think that we're these, bad people. We want to be neighborly. So they said there's a gate that opens, like I said, in the middle of the fence. So she said we went over and we was able to pass through it. We had to kind of force our way through to break a few of the vines and things, but it was passable. She said, as we walked up and we knocked on the door, I could hear someone walking to the door. There was an old man's voice that yelled, what do you want? She said, I said, we're your neighbors and we wanted to meet you, sir. We are your new neighbors. And Shirley said, I felt like we were kind of intruding. I kind of got that feeling like he didn't like visitors. Kind of like
Well,
he liked to be on his own, like he didn't like this. So she says,
well, after a
then the
what do
door,
you want? Yeah.
right. So she said, then the door opens. A very tall and older man opened the door. He was sickly looking, very pale and very old. He looked like he had lived there a long time by himself and didn't look to be in the best of health. He said, hurry up and get in here, she said, which startled us and kind of caught us off guard. And that was odd to us until he said that he couldn't be in the sun for long periods of time due to medication that he had to take. He was on blood pressure medication, she said, and blood thinners.
Mm.
So he was unable to be in the sunlight for a long period of time.
Mm.
So pretty much, I would say up until this point when I was talking to her, I thought it was a pretty common common thing. I mean, my blood pressure medicine tells me not to be in the direct sunlight also. So,
Well,
I was kind of, with what I knew, with what she was saying, I was like, oh, that's pretty common.
yeah. I mean, and I've known people that actually, with direct sunlight, they don't just get sunburn, they get they break out in hives, um, and blisters, and yeah, they can get really sick. So, especially add medication to it. So that makes sense.
Right. So David says, I handed him the pie and said, we made you a pie. He looked at me and he said, so you're the baker, huh? I told him no, that my wife had actually made it. He then said, well, then hand it here. And he stuck his finger right in the middle of it and said, ooh, it's still warm. And then tasted it and said, very fresh and very good. He said, which kind of caught us off guard a little bit.
Okay.
So David and Shirley told me while we were on the phone, she said, we kind of laughed. And he said, would you like some? And we told him it was just for him, that we really didn't want to have no pie. We didn't say it out loud, they said, but we really didn't want to eat a pie that he's sitting there, had his finger all in, licking
Right.
and tasting, But he was willing to share. He was, you want some pie? And she said he was running his finger in the middle of it. She's like, 2 knuckles deep, saying, ooh, it's still warm, staring at him. So she said it was like,
Weird.
either he hadn't had visitors in a while or he was hungry, because she said he really went for the pie. So he must have been pretty hungry. AI Squad says, I had Brahms burger earlier. Everybody's talking about food right now.
Yeah.
So so David and Shirley are in there, right? And David and Shirley's they're visiting with him the best way they know how.
Mm.
And Shirley says, we never got your name. What is your name? We never got your name. And he looks at him and he says, oh, I'm sorry. My name is Sherman. Just call me Sherman, she said. That was what he preferred to be called. And David asked, no last name? And he said, of course there is, but you can just call me Sherman.
You see Belinda's comment. That was the first thing that I was thinking too, Belinda.
What was
Sorry.
it?
She said put his finger in and not American Pie style.
So Shirley and David said while we were visiting, he asked us, how we liked the neighborhood. And we told him, well, we're new to the neighborhood. We've only been here like a night or two, and we're trying to get adjusted to it and trying to meet, you're our neighbor. And she said he looked at us and he smiled. She said, like a really big smile. And he said, it's nice to have neighbors that actually care. The last neighbors I had, they ended up leaving, and they left because they were scared of the peeping Tom we have in the neighborhood. There's a peeking Tom around here, he said, and he peeks in everybody's windows. And it really freaked a lot of people out, he said. The police have been called several times. So he said, he told us, be careful at night. There's a peeking Tom running around. So make sure to shut your windows and stuff like that. And I told him, no, she said, we told him we hadn't heard about it, she said, but, but if we hear anything, we'll for sure report it, And she said, he kind of looked at us and this weird smile. And he's like, you guys better be careful. Like he was trying to get through to him, like, you better be careful, right?
Okay.
So she said, we was like, okay, we'll be careful. This is kind of really worrying Shirley at the time, because Shirley's like, we moved here to retire. We didn't move here to have to put up, with stuff like this. So we'll
Right.
definitely, call the police department or whatever if, something happens at our house, So she told me on the phone, she's like, we were pretty freaked out about that. She said, that's not something you want to hear when you're moving into a new place, right?
Right.
So David says we got up to leave. And whenever they got up to leave, he said he stood up really fast. Like he had all the energy in the world. Like he wasn't, like this old sickly man. He just pops right up out of the chair and he stuck his hand out to shake my hand. He said, and I was kind of caught off guard, because guy just like flies up out of the chair and sticks his hand out at me, with pie all over it. And he's like trying to shake my hand. And he said his hand is like covered in pie and slobbers where he had like
Oh.
sucked the pie off his fingers and stuff. And so he says, whenever he done that, he said I reached out and I grabbed his hand to shake his hand. And he said, whenever I did, he grabbed my hand so tight that I actually buckled in my knees and almost wanted to go to the floor. He said, this old man's hand strength was so strong. And he said, I looked at him and he was smiling like he wasn't struggling to do this, like he wasn't trying to hurt me or anything. And I looked at him and I said, wow, man, you got a tight, hand grip. And he said, he looked at me and said, I'm in better shape than I look. And he was kind of like, proud of himself that he was a stronger old man. He said he then looked at Shirley and winked and said, I keep myself in shape. Like he was, boasting a little bit. So Shirley says he then walks over to me and she said, I'm dreading this, this. And he walks over to her and he says, oh, I love that perfume you're wearing. It is so nice to smell a woman again. And then he said, come here. And he pulled me over and kissed my cheek almost on my neck. And as he did, I kind of giggled and I pulled away. And he said, it's nice to hear a woman giggle too, she said, which really, really gave us a weird, odd feeling. And we're ready to get out of this house right now. She said, we are ready to leave. We're ready to be on our way home.
Yeah, that just gives me the heebie-jeebies hearing it. I couldn't imagine actually. No. Oh, creepy. Okay.
So, what are you thinking so far? What's everybody in the chat think? What do y'all think? What's going on here?
Well, we got Pink Pixie saying it's giving vampire. Christy, he's a perv. Yeah. Yeah, Mod Creeper.
CRJ.
Old
Oh,
creepy
creepy
Scott.
man.
Definitely red flags.
Yeah. Jim says a great guy. Go over and play chess with him more often, right? Dana says a vampire. So yeah. So I mean, I can see. I would be very uncomfortable. Oh, John says werewolf. I would be very uncomfortable in that situation. It would be awkward. But you are in somebody else's house. He is an older man. You don't know how long he's lived there by himself. So, company could be something, really big for him, right?
Yeah, but well, you said he was on medication though too. I mean, I don't know very many people that are on that kind of
Antipsychotic.
medication.
I know somebody that should be.
Yeah, I'll do. A few.
They're the biggest projectors on here. But anyways. David says, he then looked at me and said, you have yourself a feisty one there, bud, referring to Shirley, his wife. David and Shirley said we then told him that we had to go and we made our way out of the house and across his yard and through that gate faster than we came. And yes, it was a fast walk, she said. We were in a hurry to get back to the safety of our own home. We almost felt like we had been assaulted in a weird way. So, I mean, she said it was kind of like they just didn't feel right about it, right? It was just an encounter that did not feel right.
Right. Understandable. Yeah.
And just so everybody in chat knows, David and Shirley are very good people. They have a very light sense of humor. They laughed while they were on the phone with me. They enjoyed telling the story because you'll see why later. But they enjoyed telling me the story, but they were scared to death when this first happened. David says, when we walked in, Shirley locked the door behind us, and she never does that. He says she like slams the door, locks it and everything, and then she went to the bathroom and started washing her neck.
Mhm. Mhm.
He said, so I go to the bathroom and Shirley's standing at the sink washing her face and neck and got soap all over. And I'm like, are you okay? And she said, well, I feel really gross. My hair was stuck to my ear and my neck from the apple pie off of his lip where he had kissed me on the neck. And she said it was almost in the ear and almost on the neck and at the bottom of her earlobe. So she had like a pie on her.
Oh.
Did I lose you?
Well, you kind of broke up. I think you
There
said
you
she
go.
had like
So she
pie like in her ear or near her ear or whatever. Yeah, just you were
kind of like her
breaking up when you said it.
earlobe, neck area, and
Yeah.
yeah, and her hair. She said her hair was stuck to the side of her neck from the apple pie off of his lips. So yeah, am I freezing on your end, Mom, or is everything good on your end? Okay, she said I'm running good. You froze. Ha ha.
It was you.
No, it's you. I'm blaming you now. So she said he had slobbered on her neck, and she had to get that washed off. She couldn't stand that. So David said, I told Shirley while we was standing in the bathroom, I told her, I said, we could try to ignore him and just not go around him. He may miss his wife and he just loved the smell of another woman. He could be a very lonely man. And maybe he wasn't, missing the smell of a woman, he said, as being a pervert, but as maybe reminding him of his deceased wife. He said it could have been, maybe a perfume that she wore or something Dave was thinking that brought back memories that could have been hard on him.
Okay.
So Shirley says we got home and I fed our two cats that we keep in the house that go in and out as they want, usually out the window, along with our little bitty min pin. We named him Tim. And she said I was still very uneasy over what had just happened. She said I even teased David and said, do I need to bake you an apple pie? And she said, and we were laughing about it, kind of joking. And David said, that night we went in and we laid down in bed. And I told Shirley that, I would take the side of the bed by the window. I was not feeling well after being at his house. My stomach was upset. I felt nauseous and I was feeling just a little anxious. It was a bad encounter, he said. It really, really messed with us mentally. And he said, I normally don't, but I had a cigarette because I was a little upset and I was a little stressed. So I told her I was going to have a cigarette. So David said, I was laying there and I was smoking my cigarette, trying to figure out, what really had just happened at this guy's house. And he said, I just smoked almost half of my cigarette when I heard something walk past the window.
Hmm.
And I could tell, he said, that it was on two legs. I looked, but it was too dark, he said, to see outside. It kind of gave me a weird feeling, though. I had this feeling of being watched. So I flipped my cigarette, he said, out the window, and I heard something hiss, like a hiss, and it said, oh shit. And then he said, I heard it run. So David said, I immediately thought of the Peking Tom. And I yelled, get out of here. I have a gun. And I could hear the person running as they ran away. So he said, I felt like that night we had our first encounter with the Peking Tom.
Mhm. Sounds like it.
Any thoughts by anybody or anything right now?
Sounds like it got burned by the cigarette. Good. Deserves it.
Brittany says she would have done the same thing. She's an empath. She would have tried to be nice.
Hmm.
Belinda says, I want more pie. Yeah, I don't think they were ready to bake him another pie. I think that was kind of out of the question. So Shirley says, that scared me really bad when my husband yelled, get out of here. I have a gun. She said, I was in a dead sleep. And she said, the next thing I know, my husband is yelling, I have a gun. Get out of here. And she said, I asked him, what is going on? And he said that a Peking Tom was at our window. So we closed the window and we locked it. And we pulled the blinds for the first time and we went to bed. The next day, David and I were sitting under the gazebo and we were having a glass of wine and some cookies I had made. It was a very pleasant evening. It was one of those evenings that you really, really wanted to enjoy. We had a nice cold bottle of wine, she said. I had made some homemade cookies, and we like to have cookies with wine sometimes out at the gazebo in the middle of the yard. It's a very refreshing time, and it's a good, she said it helps with them to spend one-on-one time with each other. They've always liked to spend time with each other. She said it was important for them to have alone time together, to enjoy simple things together, to have their own things to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like their little thing that they like to do out at the gazebo. She said this house had a beautiful gazebo, and she said we made use of it. So David said I looked up, and it was almost dark. It was getting like almost into the late evening, and our party lights had come on already. They have party lights on their gazebo, she said, that come on at dark. It just lights up. And she said it's beautiful. And they sit out there sometimes in the dark in the late evening and enjoy, a sandwich or something. And here came Mr. Sherman, she said, walking toward our home in the late evening. We're sitting at the gazebo. We know he didn't know he was at the gazebo. So
Mm.
David says, I yelled at him. I said, hey, Sherman, we're over here, really loud. He said, David said, Sherman jumped from me yelling and spun around. I must have startled him something bad because he really jumped and turned. and he said, and then he almost ran to us like a child. We were all laughing about it. He like come running kind of across the yard at us like he was so happy to see us. And he said he had this big smile on his face, like, it scared him and he thought it was funny too. He was kind of laughing about it, kind of being goofy, running up to him.
Okay.
So I'm going to let you all tell me what you think's going on real quick before we head on, because it's going to start. There's going to be a twist coming, and I want to see if you all can kind of guess what's going on or what you all think might be going on.
Hmm. Well, my first thought is that he didn't know that they were out at the gazebo. And yeah, when they hollered at him, scared him. But it sounds like he might actually be the peeping Tom.
You think he's the Peking Tom?
That would be my guess. He wants more pie. Belinda.
So David says he pulled up a chair and he asked, do you have an extra glass that I may partake in this drink with you guys? And I told him that I did not, that we had just almost finished up our evening and we had only brought 2 glasses because we were spending this time together. This is just something. Thank you for that, PC. I appreciate that, and God bless you. He said, this is something that me and her, we like to share, time together and have our own time together.
Mm-hmm.
Tim, I can't throw that up, Tim, but that's good. But he said, I told him, we don't have an extra glass. And while I was sitting there, he said he just kind of looked at me like he was kind of like put off or kind of angry that I didn't have a glass for him. And he reaches over, Tim says, and he grabs my half glass of wine and says, well, then I will just finish yours for you. And he reached over and he toasted my wife with my glass of wine. And then he downed what I had left in one drink and set it on the table and said, not bad for some come and go wine, meaning a convenience store they had in town, telling him that he had bought cheap wine. He said, a woman as beautiful as Shirley shouldn't be drinking the cheap stuff. Come on, spend a little money on your woman, he said. And he kind of nudged me with his elbow. So, yeah, Brittany, right? So he was, feeling a little bit. I think David felt a little, his manhood had just been challenged a little bit,
Yeah. But who just downs a half a glass of wine?
Right. Oh, he said he just chugged it. He said,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this dude, he just chugged it like, it was water, he said, or Gatorade, and he'd been working in the yard all day. He's like, he just tipped it up, just chugs it.
Yeah, that creepy Uncle Joe.
It's going to get
And then,
worse.
yeah, chugs it and then insults it. Yeah, nice.
A little better than Boone's Farm there, buddy. But Brittany said the audacity. So yeah, it's after that happens, David said we were sitting there, and of course, he said I didn't say any more. So to kind of show him up myself, because I felt a little bit like he had kind of took a jab at me, I grabbed the bottle of wine that has just about a quarter of it left in the bottom, and I pick it up and I toast my wife and I drink from the bottle. And he said,
Okay.
David, and he, David says, and then Sherman looks at me and he goes, "Oh, you're a rebel tonight, huh?" And he said he just smiled at me. And he said, he looked at Shirley and said, "That's why you picked him, huh? The big, strong one." And was laughing, he said, squeezing my bicep while he was sitting there, like he was trying to pinch me hard enough to kind of hurt.
So weird.
So,
It's a drinking war, Christy says.
so Shirley says, Sherman then looks at her and he winks at her and he smiles and he says, "Hey there, beautiful. You mind if I have one of those delicious looking cookies that you made? If they're half as good as your pie, I'm sure I can just crunch them up." And she was like, "Sure, you can have a cookie." She said, I wasn't going to tell him that he couldn't have a cookie. Brittany says he wants Shirley. And Sherman was sitting there, she said, and this is where it gets kind of weird to me when I was listening to this, but he asked if he could have a cookie, and she said, sure. And he said, "Man, I love sweet things made by sweet women." I told him he could help himself, that we were done for the night. He could have all the cookies he wanted. She said there was probably like a dozen of them left, and we wasn't going to eat them. So David said he started eating the cookies like he had not eaten in a week. He said, I mean, he was slobbering and smacking and talking and laughing and spitting breadcrumbs all over the table, and it was making me sick, honestly. He said, and he almost gets choked at one point, and then he grabs a bottle of wine from in front of me and then downs the wine to down the cookies. My wine out of my bottle. And then he puts it back over in front of me and says, "I just needed a drink there, young man. I ain't got cooties or anything. You can have the rest. I might have left you some
Ew.
cookie in there too."
Oh, so gross.
So,
I, I'm getting like cousin Eddie vibes right now.
so I mean, these people are really bothered by this, right? Because can you imagine? I mean, if you're really there and this dude's doing that, though, I was like, oh yeah, Belinda said she'd be livid. I mean, that would really, really make you mad. I mean, I don't know. It's weird. Oh dang, I'm eating my dinner. Oh no. I mean, it would be like imposing, very rude. So Shirley said, and that's when I noticed something that was wrong.
Uh-oh.
Sherman just stopped eating and chewing and got very quiet. The smile went from his face. His eyebrows dropped down over his eyes. He then looked at the wine glass in a stare, not saying a word. He's just like staring at the wine glass, just like she said, in a daze. No facial reactions, just staring. And she said, I'm honestly afraid at this point. I don't know what he's thinking, what's happening. She's like, I don't know what's going on. And she said, I'm very, very uncomfortable. I mean, he's already, kissed her with pie all over him. So she says, one second.
Hello, Harold. Good to see ya. It's okay. You're excused for being late. Don't let it happen again. Just joking. You missed most of the story, though. You all right there, buddy?
I'm back. I got allergies today. So she said he looked at me, turned his head real slow and looked at her. And she said he looked scared. He then said, "Is there cinnamon in these?" She said, I told him, well, yes, these are snickerdoodles. They're our favorite.
Ooh, I love snickerdoodle cookies.
Well, now you know why he was munching them down. She says, Sherman looked at me again and he said, there's cinnamon in these? And she
It's
said,
not
Sherman
garlic.
then screamed. Well, she said he screamed, oh my God, I'm allergic to cinnamon. And she said he's ate like 8 cookies that he just downed with wine.
Okay, if you have
So
an
she said he,
allergy to something like that, though, wouldn't you especially when it comes to cookies?
right.
Wait, wouldn't
So
there
she
be
says,
cinnamon in an apple pie, too?
mm-hmm.
Okay, go on.
So he stood up and she said, he stares at both of us and starts projectile vomiting all over our table, chairs, us. She said, I mean, he pukes all over everything. She said, I've got puke down the front of my dress. There's puke all over David. There's chunks of chicken, bread. She said, cookies. She said it was awful smelling. She said it almost smelled like cat vomit, if you've ever smelled cat vomit. She said it was very intense. And he'd done it, she said, for about 5 minutes. It was just continual. Just she said he just emptied his guts right there on the table. She
Ew.
said it was very, very bad. And David said, I yelled for Shirley to call 911. He yelled, don't you do it. He started running for his house, yelling, I have meds. I'm okay. Don't you call nobody.
Okay.
She says he totally freaked out. Like,
Well, he started projectile vomiting. Yeah, I'd be freaking out too, and I.
right.
Bull.
Roman said it would have been a puke free for all. But yeah, I mean, so Dana says get a shotgun. So Shirley said I was worried about him because he made a mad dash for his house. He had been projectile vomiting. He was an older man. So she said I told David you should go over and check on him and make sure he's okay because we didn't call the ambulance. He was at our house, and I don't want to be responsible for him if he had an allergic reaction. He goes home. We don't get him help, and he dies. So David, she said, was hesitant, but he said, yeah, we probably should make sure at least that he's okay. So David says, whenever I got to his house, his door was wide open. So I ran to check on him. He was sitting at his table, drinking something from an old gold-like bottle that had like gold metal around it. It looked very old. I asked him if he was okay and where his medicine is, and he said, this is my medicine, stupid.
Oh, wow. Rude.
So Davis said, so I had figured he had already taken it. So I sit down there with him to make sure he was okay. And I noticed while I was looking around in his home that everything in his home was old antiques. And
Oh,
everything
cool.
was very old. He asked me if I wanted a drink, though. And not to be rude, I said, yes, please. He handed me a wooden cup and he poured me a drink from his gold container.
Nope.
Huh?
Nope. 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 That was a mistake. Nope.
So what do you think? CRJ says wooden cup.
Yeah, that was kind of weird too.
Brittany.
Right?
So, hey, OCST, good to see you. Glad you
Oh
made it
yeah,
in tonight.
he came in while you were stepped away.
I don't know that I would have drank anything that he
Mm-mm.
gave me either.
Nope.
I mean, I just don't think I would have. Yeah, I mean, major
Okay,
nope.
well, first of all, he was drinking out of that gold container, wasn't he?
I think he might have been pouring it from the way he talked. I think he had
Oh,
poured him some in a wooden cup too.
oh, okay, okay,
But who
but yeah,
knows? But who knows what he done? You know, when nobody's there. You know. So
yeah.
David says, whenever I raised the cup up to drink with him, I tasted it. It was thick. It tasted just like metallic blood. My heart started to pound like a caffeine shot. He then looked at me and said, if you ever embarrass me in front of Shirley again, I will bite your effing head off and roll it down the street.
Okay, goodbye.
David David said I had no idea what to say at that point. I just sat there and stared at him. I was taken by what he had said. He said I was afraid. I was actually very afraid because the look on his face. He said he meant it. He was very angry with me. Very angry.
Hmm. Okay.
So David said I didn't know anything else to do. So I got up and I ran like hell. He said I ran all the way back home and I told Shirley what had happened. Shirley was not sure what to think when David said I wasn't sure, or Shirley said I wasn't sure what to think whenever David told me what had happened. It really scared me. I just couldn't believe this was happening. And I couldn't believe that David had sprint all the way from his house to our house. She said, I just didn't want to believe this.
But okay, I lost you there. Broke up a little bit. Probably me, but at least she believed him, though, right?
Well, I don't think at this point she believed him all the way. I think she believed a lot of it because she had witnessed it, but I think she's just like, to the point to where like I can't even believe this is going on.
Well, yeah, I kind of understand that.
So David said I went in to brush my teeth and to get that taste out of my mouth, and as I brushed my teeth and I rinsed my mouth and I spit into the sink, it was full of blood. I was so sick that I had just drank it. It makes me sick now to recall it. There was even dark, like blood clots that came out of my mouth from the drink
Oh,
that had stuck in my teeth. And he said there was stringy stuff in it that just hang from my teeth that I had to brush out and floss out and pull out. He said it was a really mess. It was a bad mess.
oh, that is horrible.
So
Never accept drinks from strange old men. Well,
yeah.
most women know this. It's not a surprise it was the guy.
Yeah, he said it was a mess. He said it was very nasty. Jason says, glad I finished my dinner. So Shirley says her and David, we then went to bed and nothing happened that night. David and Shirley told me the next morning, early morning, like sunup, someone was knocking at the door. We got up and went and looked, and oh my God, it was Sherman. He
Mm-mm.
was knocking at the door early in the morning.
Out in the sun? Out in the sunlight?
No, early morning. He said before the sun had even rose,
Oh.
like the crack of
Oh.
dawn. Yeah, this
Oh.
is way early.
Okay. Okay. Like my bedtime.
Pretty much. He said we opened. He said we opened the door and we lied to him, saying we couldn't visit long. We had an appointment. He then said, "Oh, no worries. I just wanted to tell David I was sorry. He didn't like the blood pudding that I gave him yesterday, and I should have told him that's what it was. I guess he's just got that city boy belly on him, huh, Shirley? But I wanted him to know that, yeah, it's not a taste for everybody. But I was glad that he tried it." And then Shirley said he then ran his hand in my hair and pulled me toward him. And then I then pulled away and he smiled and walked over to pet my cat. Whenever he reached down to pet my cat on the sidewalk, my cat bit him, and I mean gums deep. She said, my cat has never done that before. She said he yelled, "Oh, shit, that's to the bone."
Mm. Mm.
She said he
Good
grabbed the
cat.
cat by the back of the neck and threw it across our yard. She said, I then ran out there to check on him, and I looked at his hand, and it indeed, she said, was a bad bite. I offered to clean it, and he said no, he would do it. He walked off, and I said, I am so sorry. He said, no problem, honey. But when he reached the gate on the fence, he kicked it wide open and he yelled, "Mother effing cats," and went on to his house. So she said, I knew then that it wasn't really okay.
I'd be watching the cat from now on. That cat might not be coming out too well. Uh oh.
Blood pudding Dana says, IB. Brittany's cheering the cat on. Belinda says, good kitty. And Jason said, animals know good from bad. I believe that. And Tim says, don't ever invite him into your home. Yeah, Tim, for sure. Yeah. CRJ says, nobody better be calling me honey but Harold.
Gotcha, honey.
My son's demon cat hates me, and most animals love me. And Tim, I got your 2 packages today. Thank you very much for that. The boys are going to love that. So thank you for that. Tim guy sent 2 things to us, and it was very, very nice of him. Thank you very much for that, Tim. So David says, I did something I shouldn't have done. I snuck over to his house to try to peek in his windows to see what he was doing. But it was hard to peek in his windows because he had newspapers taped almost every damn window.
Oh yeah,
He
there's
said
a
you could.
peeping Tom.
Well, yeah, he said you couldn't see in his house except for one of the pieces of newspaper was torn. So he said, I snuck over and I peeked in the window, and as I was watching him, he said, yeah, now I become the peeking Tom. He said, but as I'm watching him, he walks over to the table, sits down with the golden thing, and he starts chugging it from the bottle. He's drinking it. He's not drinking it normally from the bottle. He has like half of the neck of the bottle, he said, stuck in his mouth, just pouring it. Like he was like thirsting to death. He said all of a sudden he then turned real fast and looked at the window where I was at, like he knew I was there, and I felt like we made eye contact, but there was no way he could see me. But the look on his face and the way he looked, with the blood pudding, as he called it, running down his face, dripping into the floor, he was staring at the window and gave a great big smile with those red, bloody teeth, with the same stringy stuff hanging off, and I could hear him laughing. I ducked, hoping he didn't see me, he said, and then I ran home, all the way home, and I ran in and locked the door like Shirley did the first day we met him. I was scared to death at this point, is what he says.
See, and blood pudding is not a drink. Blood pudding is like a isn't it like a
Right.
sausage thing? I'm just sorry.
I guess it
Ugh.
depends on who gives it to you or
Well, yeah.
what they name it.
Mm, ew.
Any ideas
AI
of what's
mod.
going on yet?
I don't know, but AI mod says she's gonna be sick.
Sure, payback AI mod. That's for not coming on the show tonight. Belinda says, "Get your wooden stakes ready."
Mm-hmm.
Jan says, "Yep, it's a vampire." Margie says, "It's like liver mush." Ooh.
Yeah, yeah, blood pudding. It's like, yeah, that's what blood pudding is. Like a, but not
Put
a
some
drink.
put some liver in the blender. So Shirley then tells me on the phone while I'm talking to her, she says, Dana says, "Call Van Helsing." Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great fishing bait, Jason says. It is that. Load your guns with silver bullets, Don says, Don Donaldson.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yes, Donna, or Dana, sorry. Dana. So Shirley says, while I'm on the phone with her, Pink Pixie says, "Super soaker with holy water." So Shirley, so Shirley says on the phone, and she's told me this encounter up to this point. And then she goes, "Mike, this is when things really started to get bad." And David was like, "It wasn't bad enough already." But you'll get what Shirley meant here in just a second. Shirley says that night we had to get ready for bed like normal. I was standing by the open window at my makeup stand, fixing my hair, getting ready to go to bed. And that's when it happened. All of a sudden, something hit me right in the face. She said, "I was blinded and I could not see. It hurt so bad. I was almost knocked out. My legs got weak, really weak. I was losing my hearing. I'd almost lost my sight. I couldn't see for what was in my eyes, and I started to pass out, and I could feel something all over my face. I was hit harder than I've ever been hit in my life."
Oh my gosh.
David says, "I saw something out of the corner of my eyes. Something came through the window, and it hit her right in the face. She had red stuff all over her face. I got up and I grabbed her and I helped her to the bathroom to clean her face and to get a wet cloth. Her face was covered in blood. I then called 911 and I knew she was hurt bad. Shirley was injured badly." I'm
What?
sorry, OCST said, "Garlic and holy water balloons ready to go."
Cinnamon.
Yeah. So David said, "I was cleaning her face, waiting on the ambulance when I noticed that she had no cuts on her face, but she did have a busted lip and her eye was now swollen, completely shut."
Wow. Yeah.
The- Yeah, she was hit hard. The ambulance
Mm-hmm.
arrived and they loaded her up. I told her I would meet her at the ER. I went to the room to see what came in the window in case they needed it to know what had hit her and for the police. When I
Mm.
walked in the room, I then saw what it was.
I have
And
a
he
feeling I
actually
know what it was.
and he actually said on the phone, "Oh my God." It was our severed cat's head. I got a Ziploc baggie and grabbed it for evidence.
Yep.
Barbie said cat.
Yep.
So yeah, it was just the head.
Yeah. Where was the rest of the body?
Not that not that that makes it better, but it wasn't the whole body. So David says when I arrived at the ER, they had Shirley in a room and she was stable. But they did tell me that she was hit so hard that she would have to stay the night because she did have a slight concussion.
Concussion. Wow.
So, I mean, she got hit in the head with a cat's head so hard it actually gave her a concussion. I mean, that thing had to be whipping.
Yeah. That. Wow. That's horrible.
Yeah. I then spoke to the police and gave them the cat head. I told them where I lived and that I had the window peeker at my house and thought that it might be that person. They told me that they had a few reports from the lady down the road also the same night that she had a peking Tom and that her dog was killed and was stuck in her barbecue outside and the barbecue was lit. And when she woke up the next day, she could smell food cooking in it and it thought the neighbor kids had
Oh.
turned it on and the grease inside it was got hot and she could smell, the old food cooking. And when she opened it, she said she found her little dog in there chained to the grill. So her dog had been cooked alive inside of a grill. So they said there was a lot of bad things going on in that neighborhood by this so-called Peking Tom.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. So they then said they would patrol extra at my house and they would take the cat head to be examined. Shirley said on the phone to me, she said, it hurt really bad, but I was allowed to go home the next day. The police arrived later that day and told us that they had some weird news. David said the police said the cat head had been bitten off by a large canine, is what they had told him during the necropsy when they checked it out. I asked him how it would be thrown in our window like that if a damn dog bit it off. He said, I know a damn dog didn't throw it in our window. Shirley's hurt and I want answers.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I got pretty stern with the police. I just wasn't having this. So the police stated that some kids probably had a dog that killed the cat, and then the kids threw it through the window to scare us, or the peeping Tom, whoever that was, to try to scare us, and probably didn't mean to hurt her that bad. It was probably meant more as a joke, but she happened to be in line with where they threw it through there. David says that night it got really scary.
Because it hasn't been already.
Well, this was getting a little worse now. They're laying in bed and they start hearing growling. And he said this growling is like a growling he had never heard before. He said it sounds like it's about to come through the window and it's going to kill us. He said, you've never heard anything like this. He said it actually felt it in his chest, the vibration. So did Shirley. But he said the weird thing was is when he looked on his nightstand, he could actually see his glass of lemonade that he had vibrating to the growl. It was actually moving the water in his cup. That's how this growl was. It was actually moving the water from outside. Something is very, very PO'd. And he said there wasn't much moon. He said there was like a quarter of a moon outside, so you couldn't see outside real well.
Hmm.
So David said I slipped over to the dresser drawer and I grabbed my 44 Magnum from the drawer and I went outside. What I seen was something from a horror book or a horror movie, Mike, or whatever you want to call it. He said I really didn't know what to call it. I've never seen anything like that in my life, and I never believed anything like that existed. He said whenever I looked, it had to be, he said, a GD werewolf. I mean, it was part dog and human, he said, if you want to call that a werewolf. It did have human legs, he said, and a dog's head and a snout. It was standing over by the tree line. It was across the yard, but you could see the silhouette well enough to tell what it was. I raised my gun, and I admit it, I shot at it. And it yelped like a dog, and it did run into the darkness. He said, I ran inside and I called 911. The officer arrived, and I told him what I'd seen and what had happened. He actually laughed in my face.
Uh-huh.
And he felt that I was overly stressed from the incident we had just went through at the hospital. I asked him to stay at our home until dark. Yeah, I know, guys. You're probably laughing at me in chat now, but I was scared. And I wanted somebody there to protect us. And I was begging this officer to stay the night at our house. I was scared. He said they didn't have an officer that could stay just at my house that night. I asked him to call and see, call the sergeant, whatever he had to do. He said, I told him, I need somebody here. This thing is going to kill us if you leave us here. So he said, I asked him, and the sergeant said, hold on. So he called up to the police station. Of course, the sergeant said, we don't have anybody. He said, I'm freaking out. I don't want to be here alone because there's something out there. I just seen it. This is not human. This is not okay. And they're not willing to help me. He said, and then it comes across the radio that they did find somebody that was willing to do it. He said they had a chaplain that was at the police station that said he would come out and stay with us. He said he is a chaplain, but he also has all the same powers as a police officer. He is a police officer, so he will be able to give you the same protection that we would be able to. Just a chaplain. He normally doesn't patrol and stuff, but he's willing to come and stay at your house with you. He said, I more than invited him. I said, yeah, I'll send him out here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So whenever
Well,
the chaplain arrived, he said,
that point, I'd almost feel better. It's at that point, I'd almost feel better having the chaplain there after seeing that. Yeah.
So he says, whenever I arrived, I told him what had happened. And he said the chaplain didn't laugh like the other officer did. He said he looked me in the face and he was stern. He didn't say a word. But the chaplain walked outside and he began to pray at every window and every door. He was blessing our windows and our doors. He then walked to all four corners of our yard and prayed over our yard. He said, we'll be okay the rest of the night. Everything should be fine. He left the next morning. As the next night started to come, I noticed a patrol car pulled into our driveway. It was the chaplain. He walked up to the door and he had a small package that was wrapped in a bow. A small package, almost, he said, like what you would get a set of earrings in. He said, I have something for you. I've had it for a long time and it's no good to me and I want you to have it. I know you guys are afraid and hopefully this will give you some peace. You can't open it until I leave and only use it for self-defense. He said, and I kind of looked at him like this weird look and he's like, I want you guys to be safe. He said, so whenever the chaplain left, he said, I'd done exactly what he asked me. And whenever I opened it, there it was, a silver bullet.
Barbie B called it.
Yep.
Yep.
He said it was a silver bullet. It wasn't a 44 Magnum, he said, but it was a 44 Special, which would still work inside of my 44 Magnum. He said I kind of laughed and thought, okay, this guy just gave me a silver bullet. And just like in the movies, I thought, are they making fun of me? He said was the first thing that ran through my mind. Are they bringing me a silver bullet? And everybody at the office got together and was like, let's send him a silver bullet, And he said, I kind of didn't know how to take it. Was they making fun of me or was they really trying to help me, He said, my wife looked at me and she said, would you load it into the pistol, please? And he said, I told her, I'm afraid to load it in the pistol because I don't know where it came from. I don't even know if this thing will work. She said he wouldn't have gave it to you if it didn't work. So she said, I begged him and begged him and begged him. And finally that night, he put it in his pistol, she said, and he showed me that it was the next round to be fired out of the pistol. The silver bullet would be the next bullet to be fired. He made sure that that would be the first bullet out of the gun. A few nights later, he said everything had been quiet till a few days later. The growling was back and the wiggling of the doorknob had started. I went back out there and I seen it standing in the yard. This time it ran away and I wasn't able to do anything. But then my wife starts yelling at me when I go in the house. She says, honey, 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 I need you to see this. My wife had looked up on the internet and she had found that the house we're living in, that the elder couple that had lived here were killed by a pack of dogs that were never found. They were shredded inside of the house through an opened window. Let that sink in. She said that really, really bothered us.
When you buy a house, isn't the real estate agent supposed to tell you about previous strange things that had happened or deaths in the home, and
I don't know. I honestly don't know about that. That's above my pay grade. I, I don't know about that.
I thought real estate agents are supposed to let you know about that kind of stuff.
Barbie says they don't.
Oh, well, dang it. That's not
AI mod said all my windows are barred with shower rods. I'd assume they don't cause they're trying to make the sale. I'd assume they don't because they're trying to make the sale to good enough.
well, because I know that there actually there's like certain rules in certain places where real estate agents are supposed to inform you if the house is haunted. Actually, now too, or if and I that's why I thought that there are certain things where they're supposed to tell
Right.
you if like the previous owner had died in the home or so. I don't know.
Tim says just in some states. Some states you don't
Oh,
have to.
okay,
Yep. Amber says state to state.
okay. Well, I guess that's something to
Wow.
check next time somebody buys a house. Hmm.
Dana says my house was haunted. They're supposed to tell you. Wow.
Mhm.
Amber says you have to disclose in Oklahoma. Amber must be from Oklahoma. Good to see you,
Mm.
neighbor. So the next night, she said, while they're going back to bed again, the growling starts at the window. And she hears it say, Shirley, beautiful Shirley. And she said, I screamed and I ran and I jumped into bed like a child and I covered myself. She said, my husband jumped up with the gun and ran outside. David said, whenever I ran outside, I seen it again at the wood line where it had been standing all this time. It was at the corner of the fence that separated our 2 yards and the wood line that went into the public hunting area. I done something, Mike, I probably shouldn't have done. And I don't know if I can live with what I've done, if I've done something terrible or not. But the courts have said that I'm a free man. I raised my 44 Magnum and I fired. Whenever I fired, I heard the thud of the bullet strike what I was aiming at this time. It was a heavy, hard hit. I was aiming center mass. This was a fairly large creature, a tall creature, slender, broad, but a tall, slender creature. He says, I fired. I heard the bullet smack it, and then the weirdest thing ever. I heard in a dog voice, and a growling dog voice screamed, oh shit.
Hmm.
The next day, Shirley and I woke up to go out on the patio to have our cup of coffee. And that's whenever we noticed the coroner and the police were at Sherman's house. Shirley, being the person she is, she's kind of nosy sometimes. She told me to go find out what was going on. So David says, I walked across the yard, dreading this, dreading this, dreading this, and there's yellow crime tape, and I'm met by a police officer. And I asked the police officer, I said, what's going on? What happened? What happened to Sherman? He's our neighbor. And the coroner that was standing there, he looked at me and he said, Sherman had taken a fall last night, sometime in the middle of the night, and his cousin had found him lying in the kitchen. He had passed away. But the other cop standing beside him was a younger cop, and you could tell that he was a rookie. And he said, yeah, pretty bad thing. The old man was doing dishes and slipped and fell on a butcher knife stuck right through his chest, right in the heart when he was putting up the dishes. And the older officer reached over and kind of nudged him like to shut up. He said the old man was taken from the home, but now the weird thing is we have our house up for sale, but we don't know if we truly want to sell it or take it off the market because now Sherman's cousin is living in the house that found him. and he sits outside now smoking a pipe watching us in the yard.
Mhm.
And whenever we wave at him, he doesn't wave. He just stares at us. And late at night, whenever it's really late, he goes outside and howls at the moon. So are these people crazy? He's saying. So then he says, he knows I'm going to read this on the show. He says, to the chat, I don't know what to think about this incident. I will be watching he is in the show tonight. He said him and his wife would be watching. He said, I am in the show tonight, and I really don't know what to think about what happened. I honestly do not know what to think. Was this just crazy people? Was this a coincidence? Did our imaginations run away with us? What do you all think happened? I know you all think I'm probably crazy. Thank you for listening to my story. And he thanked me for taking the story. And he says, thank you, each and every one of you in chat, and God bless. And he looks forward to seeing what your all's ideas and opinions are. He's actually watching tonight. So,
I would bake him some snickerdoodle cookies and see if he eats them.
yeah.
Because if he gets sick, yes, move.
Or what if he's not allergic to them? You know, I mean, Silver Bullet says U-Haul. Barbie said she's had some crazy stuff happen too. OCST says exactly, Jess. Michelle McGuire says anything's possible. There's Michael Scott. He says, yeah, like crime rates on different sides of town, illegal to disclose. Oh, wow. Uh, come on, chat. Work with me. Jason says, I don't think you're crazy at all, whoever you are. I believe everything you said. I'm glad you and your family are alive and well. You know, uh, Dana says, no coincidence. CRJ says, bye bye, American Pie. Um, Margie Thomas says, you're not crazy. Supernatural incident. Um, Brittany, the person that goes for the cats, says, I don't think you're crazy at all. 100% believe y'all. They must be shapeshifters, maybe. Ooh, yeah. Dana says, have more silver bullets made. Be asking the preacher for more bullets. You know, that is kind of interesting that the preacher is the one that had the silver bullet, right? I'd be calling the chaplain for another silver bullet.
Well, but if they found him in the house, I mean, that's weird too. He shot him in the yard, didn't he?
At the end of the fence, yeah. But do you think maybe it wasn't like a shot that killed him immediately? Maybe it went in and injured his, lungs, a lung shot or something. And because, and I'm just grasping at straws here. This is not something that I would have investigated in my job and looked at it this way, but maybe it was from the silver that would have killed him because, what I done at my job would have told me that it was the projectile that killed him, not mattering if it was silver, lead, copper, it came from a gun. But when you look at it from what we're studying here in the cryptic world and the possibility of cryptids and everything like that, then you have to look at folklore. And then it even makes me wonder, what does silver do that nothing else does, right?
Heals.
Heals?
Yeah, if you have a wound, like
Oh,
you can
yeah, yeah,
actually get
yeah.
silver spray, and yeah, so it's there's healing elements to it for our own benefit. So maybe if you're evil and demonic, that it would burn and not heal. I don't know.
Dana says they
Just a
lied.
thought.
They lied about the knife. I agree. They lied about the knife. It was a gunshot wound.
Hmm.
That allegedly, entertainment purposes only.
Yeah,
But yeah,
allegedly.
it makes you wonder, what does silver really have to do with it, right, guys? I mean, what does silver really do that nothing else does? Why silver? I mean, why not gold? Why not copper? Why does it have to be silver? Well, we
That's
know
why.
gold don't. We know gold don't hurt them. Hell, they wear them as
Yeah, Yeah, that's probably why I got a dirty look the one time too when that person asked me about it, and I says, "I always wear silver, I don't wear gold."
Right. Well, gold don't hurt him either. I
No,
mean, I know a demon that wears tons of gold.
yeah,
I
that's the
mean,
demon I'm talking about, actually.
yeah, I mean, gold has no effect on him.
No.
Why silver? Why silver? Yeah, I think he called his cousin to come help him and he couldn't. Ooh, Margie.
Yeah.
That's right. I bet Margie's right. I bet when he went in the house wounded, he called his cousin. That's why his cousin showed up and found him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh shit. This might be you all might want to think about moving now that I think about it. Uh
Yeah.
yeah. Ooh, Amy says, I think the cousin might have put the knife in Sherman to cover up their family secret.
I was gonna say maybe. Well, could he? Did he try and dig the bullet out? And that's didn't work, and that's why they said, yeah. I don't know. Or yeah, covering up the secret.
So do you do you think that
Dana.
do you think that what happened? Do you think that that old man killed the family that lived there before they did?
Oh yeah.
Shredded
Did they have
them?
cats? Did they have cat?
I don't know. It didn't say. They didn't say either. That is crazy. And I think that he liked Shirley though. I don't think he was going to hurt Shirley. Or maybe he was. I don't know. He seemed to really like her though until he, allegedly hit her with a cat's head.
What did she do though to get the cat's head thrown at her?
I
What
couldn't
made
think
him?
of any. The only two things I could come up with when I thought about that was maybe it was her resisting him and pulling away from him. Like he would try to pull her to him and she would always pull away or and then the damn cat bit him, remember? He probably blamed that on her.
Oh yeah, yeah, maybe. Hmm.
OCST says silver represents purity.
Well, I think Dana said too that burn cream, some silver burn cream is actually. I don't remember where it was.
Yeah, Jason, that's true too. That blood pudding might have been keeping him young. Nancy Ponder says she'd be moving away. It's purifying, is what Michelle says.
Hmm.
Amber says the cat biting him.
Yeah,
And then Brittany says, I agree. He called the cousin before he died. He made it look like a knife. He would have tore them both to shreds. Get more silver bullets removed. Yeah, I think so too. I
yeah. I
agree.
think I'd be keeping some silver bullets on hand, anyways, regardless.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to live there any longer, anyways, with just everything that had happened. And I mean, even if, just playing devil's advocate, even if you're not dealing with a cryptid over there, you're still dealing with a cousin that probably blames the death on his relative on you.
Well, and if there's more relatives, who knows?
Right.
Yeah, probably be moving.
And then Karen says, you're not crazy at all. It's very real. So I got a question for you all in chat. How many of y'all is going to show up to my boots on the ground tomorrow night at 8:30? How many of y'all is going to be there Sunday night, 8:30 p.m.? We're going to go boots on the ground in the more flooded woods. What's going to be pushed out of there now, right? I mean, it's going to be a lot worse. It's going to be a lot more dangerous too for trips, falls, and stuff like that. It's going to be a lot of flooded areas. So we got rising water. It'll be dangerous, but we're going out there for sure. Oh, we got a lot of people showing up. Hell yeah. But as far as answering their question, if it were me, I would move.
Well, if they're able to, yeah. You said that they already have their house up for sale.
Yeah, they have it up for sale. They're still debating on if they're going to take it down and keep it because they like where it's at because they do like to crab fish and stuff like that, and it's right there where they can do all that. But man, you don't know what you're going to deal with. Hello, Walter. Good to see you. Glad you was able to make it. There's Walter.
Hi, Walter.
But
I don't know. Maybe they should spray the fence with that silver. What is it? Is it like a silver nitrate spray? I'm still stuck on that. You can get it at Walgreens. It's a silver spray. You just spray it, along the fence line. Spray the
they're saying
grass.
what time would that be in Ohio, Jesse? Would that be Eastern time? I don't know if that falls central or not.
Ohio is, because I know Michigan is yeah. So it's hour later in Ohio. So
So
it's
it's gonna
eight
be
thirty. It's going to be
9:30.
9:30.
Cool, yeah. Yeah, come over and join us. It should be a good one. It should be one of the wilder ones because it is flooded. It's going to be a pretty dangerous boots on the ground. But we're going to go out and we're going to see what we can do. We're going to push it. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to go out and see what happens. It's going to be a lot of flooded areas. We're going to be dealing with rising flash floods and the lake rising, the woods flooding, roads flooding. And of course, when you got floods, you can't see, and you can always step off in a ditch down there. It goes right up over your head, and no telling what's in it. So there's already been some people lose their lives here in Oklahoma. So we'll have to be really careful tomorrow night when we go out, and then dealing with whatever else is being pushed out of the woods. You don't know what's been pushed out. Um, Pretty crazy. So do you guys enjoy these breakdowns? Is this something that y'all like? Do you like doing these? Mike, did you ever have any dents occur? Nope, Vicky, I didn't have anything. No dents, no mud or anything. Um, Again, I'm going to let Jesse tell y'all. Jesse may be able to tell you a little different way than I did. You'll be able to find it. It's going to come out on Patreon, and YouTube members is where you're going to be able to see it. And Jesse, I'll let you tell them more about the clearer video we're going to be releasing. You can tell them what to expect to see on it, kind of.
Oh well, as opposed to like last night, because the video wasn't completely clear because we were looking at it through the phone and it was trying to actually focus on the IR camera. But in the IR video, you can actually see the being standing in front of or towards the side front of the vehicle and standing up, and you can see a clear image of exactly how tall this thing was and where it was actually looking. Because I know in the video from last night, you could see it moving up and down. For everybody that was watching it, you could see it like kind of stand up and then move, but you could see it a lot clearer in the IR camera and where it was turning and looking at and seeing that little creature peeking out from the side. The little guy, whatever it was, the baby, juvenile, something like that. But it was
Yeah, I'm
definitely
pretty
there.
sure. It was a good catch. It was a really, I think it was one of the best catches. I'd say it was one of our best.
hmm and I'm kind of wondering again, like, it makes me think that you were creeping up on the juveniles in the first place, and it was probably trying to distract you and bring you back to the vehicle. And, again, as a parent that has kids that don't like to listen when you say, stay there, don't move, I'm wondering if the juvenile was following the adult. And that's why it kept peeking around the tree. Because it almost looked like the adult was like trying to tell it to get away and go back.
Right.
But
I think that they're, and plus all the other things they're going to get access to if you're a YouTube member and the Patreon. I mean, we got a lot of stuff in there. We've got other videos we've done, the where we go down the rabbit hole.
mm-hmm.
And that's mainly going to be on the Patreon, guys. Patreon's where you're going to get the down the rabbit hole videos, and YouTube membership, you're going to get extra videos also. But everybody, a YouTube member, if you're a member of YouTube or you're on the Patreon, you will get this video. I'm going to release it to both audiences. So no matter where you're at, you will get it. Walter says you look a little different tonight, Jesse. What do you look different for?
Because I colored my hair, got rid of my gray, and straightened it. Maybe. Could that be it?
Silver Bullet thinks it could have been a troll.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, one did crawl down the tree. That is right. There was one that climbed down the tree.
Oh,
That could have
that's
been
right.
that could have been the juvenile. Michelle says the breakdowns are freaking awesome. Walter says, "You look nice."
Thank you, Walter.
Oh yeah, everybody's saying it could have been a troll. A lot of people saying troll. Barbie said it looks good on you. Yeah, I'd hate to see her without her hair, Barbie. If we can get 1,000 likes tonight, guys, she will shave her head.
No, no.
Um, Also, guys, if you don't mind right now, please hit the like button. That helps us so much. If you're on an iPad or a cell phone, just double tap the screen twice. It'll give us a like. Boots on the Ground is under attack right now, and I'm going to let Jesse go into that with you guys a little bit more too, because her channel is suffering more than mine. We're both suffering, but it's hurting the smaller channels right now more than it is the larger channels. I can kind of take the blows a little easier, and I'm going to let her explain to you guys that the truthers, the boots on the ground, is really under attack right now. So your likes help so much to overcome that.
Yeah. So for any of you guys that were following and watching last night, you know that there was some weird stuff that was going on in the chats in my live last night, and a couple people that were booted out ended up when they came back in. I know Mike said that he ended up getting a notification stating that I had been held because of misinformation. So the boots on the ground channels are getting attacked and mass reported by other channels. And it's really hurting, especially with me, because I'm not even, and I'm not monetized. I don't have a whole lot of subscribers on my channel. I go out once a week and I do my investigations. And for the amount of time that I actually spend doing those boots on the ground type of investigations, it really hurts when they mass report my channel, because it not only holds um, my actual live and my boots on the ground and what I'm doing, but I'm not able to get out there. I'm not able to get the views. I'm not able to get the shares. And it just, it's very frustrating to, for the fact that these are huge channels that are doing this. And somebody that, like myself, that has absolutely no threat, why am I a threat? Why am I a threat to these big channels? Because I'm going out and because I'm doing boots on the ground and because I am maybe finding stuff and catching stuff and doing my own investigations. That is the only thing that I can think of is why I'm a threat to somebody that sits behind a desk all day and doesn't actually go out and do anything. So, I mean, it's really important for these channels to get the shares, get the likes, get the subscribes, share it out, you guys. And within this community, we really need to support everybody and just push for that support, because you guys want answers, we all want answers, and the only way to do it is by getting out there and researching it. You can't just sit behind a desk every single day and think that answers are going to come to you. You know, there's a difference between book smarts and street smarts. You got to have a little bit of both in order to get an answer.
And deceptions from demons.
Yeah.
Changing the word of God. I have a problem with that. Um,
Yeah. That's
Another thing too is we
another.
support a lot of channels. We support a lot of other channels that support us. If you'll hang out to the end of this show when we end it, I will play the channels that we support so you can see those come up on your screen. Very awesome channels. We are starting to build a better community, and the community that we're building is going to be a community that works together. Guys, we can disagree and still get along. I
Hmm.
mean, it'd be a pretty boring world if we all believed the same way, Wouldn't be able to have a show because there would be no objections, it would just be everybody believe the same way. Um, if we all believe the same way and one person's wrong and we all believe the same way, then we're all wrong. I would rather have, multiple theories, and if one's wrong, then you look at the next, plausible theory. That's the only way you're going to find the answer. But I think the ones that are trying to shut everything down, they are the ones that want to push one single narrative It's their way, no way. I'm the smartest. I'm right. You listen to me, or I'm going to throw a fit. And you're not going to get anywhere like that. Nowhere like that. I mean, I don't have all the answers. I don't have half the answers, a quarter of the answers, but I'm looking and I'm getting off my butt and I'm going out there and I'm trying to find them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best we can do. And we're going to have some guests coming back on the show, guys. Actually, I'm not going to say the name yet, but Jesse, you'll know who I'm talking about. She did email me back, and that looks like it's going to be a go now. So
Oh,
yeah, we just have to work out the details. She is actually, yes, she's on board for that.
good, good.
So looks like we might have a really big show coming up, and we're going to have Travis Carpenter back for sure. We're going to have a lot of our people back, and Travis Carpenter's getting into some good parts of his book. It's going to be really, really interesting. I can't wait to bring him back to listen to some of that. But Blake Dusher, he'll be back. The Lost Cryptids Conservatory, go support him. You got, Chris Cyrus. He's going to be opening a new channel, guys. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to get behind him. We're going to support him. Ryan Tremblay, we support him, getting his channel up and going. The Bigfoot lady, Amanda, we support her. So many channels. Moggs, we support Moggs. OCST. Um, just so many channels out there, and we look forward to growing, that list and working with a lot more people because I learn something every time we have a guest on, and I think that should be our goal. Uh, that's pretty much really all I got to say. Jesse, if you want to start to walk us out, and everybody, if you'll hang tight at the end of the show, I will play the channels that we do support so we don't forget anybody. And I may have forgot somebody on there. If I did, email me, send it to me. I'll add you to the list, guys. We love each and every one of you, and we appreciate the collaboration we're able to do as adults and to be able to find the answers we're looking for because cryptids is why we're here.
Yep. So thank you everybody for being here tonight. Thank you for the support. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for each and every one of you. So we are truly grateful for each and every one of you for being here. Hope everybody stays healthy, stay safe this weekend. Do something nice for your neighbor. Just don't bake them an apple pie with cinnamon.
And if he
And
drinks your wine, you
yeah,
probably don't want to be his friend.
yeah. But God bless everybody. And remember, prayers. Go and please join the Wide Open Adventures prayer page. Um, if you have prayer requests, pop them in there, and we'll keep that all posted too. But prayers for Latricia, Connie, um, Tony, and who else did I miss?
We got Donnie Miller, CRJ, and Harold, Melba.
Melba.
Uh, you
Yep.
got Tony and Connie, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
So
and
keep them all
everybody
in
in
your
the
prayers.
and people in the path of these storms too.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and people that's lost family in these storms.
So thank you, everyone. God bless.
All right, guys. As always, I'm very thankful for all of y'all showing up tonight and supporting us on the boots on the ground. I have a blast. Tomorrow night will be a dangerous night, no doubt. It's going to have other dangers we're going to be facing while we're out there, but we're going to go and we're going to go out there and see what we can find and see what's been pushed out of those bottoms. Should be a very interesting night. I look forward to it. Again, if the video should be released tonight to the YouTube members and the Patreon, I will try to get that done tonight and released so y'all will have it. If you are a YouTube member or a Patreon member, there is new material out that a lot of you haven't seen. So go check and go watch those videos. Those are out for you guys for supporting us. Those are, thank you videos. So go check those out. And as always, guys, light it up with the hearts for the boys. Give us a comment after the show. God bless you guys. Keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. We'll see you tomorrow night, 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And we're going to end it with the channels that we support. Thank you. Good night and God bless. And don't forget, Abnormal Investigations is boots on the ground. We'll see you on the next one, guys.
Good night, everyone.